husband to keep the toddler and children upstairs.
Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Hillary from Rangeline Chiropractic. Today, we are interviewing Crystalynn Godek. She is the owner of Heart Overhead Coaching. So, Crystalynn, tell us a little bit about this coaching.
Yeah, so my company is Heart Overhead Coaching. I am a certified life coach. And basically, I help women put themselves on and at the top of their to-do list. I offer a lot of services like one-on-one coaching is primarily what I do, but I have some group coaching, webinar opportunities as well. And in normal times, I do workshops also.
Nice. How did you come up with the name Heart Overhead? I forgot to ask you that the other day.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of people, myself included, right? So everything that I put out on social media is really just therapy for myself. But Heart Overhead came from the idea of a lot of times we get this idea, this dream in our heart, and we get really excited about it. And then we start to think about the how. So we shift into our head and our thought process. And then we talk ourselves completely out of doing whatever it was that, we had kind of dreamed up. And so I just felt like the focus on whatever you want in your heart and following that over what your head is telling you could go wrong or might be really hard to tackle on the way to that dream.
Yeah. Well, I think that you nailed it, how we don't really put ourselves at the top of to-do lists. I know as a mom and business owner, I've gotten better over the years with a lot of extra help and coaching with that. But I assume pretty much everyone that you see that's a mom doesn't put herself on the top of the list, does she?
No, I mean, myself included, right? So I work with a life coach and we are continuously tackling this issue for myself as well. Like we tend to have all the priorities of everyone else on our list. And then if we have anything on there for ourselves, it tends to go really down towards the bottom. And sometimes we just take it off altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, before we get into our topic, the B word, last week you and I were talking about our to-do lists, and you mentioned something really great that I told another patient of mine just recently, and a couple of them actually, and that is when we were talking about to-do lists, you were telling me that you have one thing on your list that's for you, one thing for the business, and one thing for home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling a couple of people that, and they're like, that makes so much sense instead of a whole list every day of stuff to do. And then we might not feel like we accomplished enough. But if we have one of each category, I just thought that was really smart and so easy. Like 3 columns on a sheet of paper, one thing in each column. I got that.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, especially right now when we feel like we're not accomplishing anything, we're used to our kids being in school and being able to kind of, manage our day as we need to, whether that be at work or at home. And I mean, it's just kind of like a roll of the dice, what you're going to get done. So focusing on one thing, I think I shared with you that day, my thing is cleaning off the kitchen counter at the end of the night, the island, which seems so tiny to most people, but it's a big accomplishment for me right now because I have a toddler and a teenager and they're not the neatest children on the planet.
Imagine that.
Weird. Yeah.
Well, tell us about this topic when you're telling me the B word. I loved the title of it. So
Yeah.
tell us about the B word and what we're going to learn.
Yeah. So my background is talent development in the HR world, in my past life in corporate. And I used to do a leadership training called the B word. I did it sort of to get people in the room and get them interested in, knowing what is the B word. And the B word is busy. So, especially in the corporate world, but I feel like as parents, as moms, especially, we sometimes wear that busy badge and we like to, even when you greet somebody, if I were to say, how are you doing today, Hillary? You might say, oh man, like it's been a really busy week, or especially during this time, like we're juggling e-learning, we're juggling our jobs, we're trying to maintain the home. I mean, it is busy, right? But if you take a look at that list, what are you busy doing, really? Like, how busy are you? And why is it important for you to be busy? And so the B word is busy. And so I thought today it might be fun if we talked about the real reasons that we're busy, a couple of those, and we'll get kind of real and it might sting a little bit. It stings me because this is all true for me. But I think that a lot of times we say we're busy because it makes us feel important.
Oh.
And I think it helps us feel needed. So I feel like those are two really big ones, right? So like as parents or as a mom, sometimes I might not feel like I'm appreciated. I might not feel like everyone else is kind of pulling their weight. And so I might use that word busy to just show them that of all the things that I'm accomplishing. And my husband pointed this out to me a couple months ago. He said, "You say I need to do a lot." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, you said I need to do the laundry or I need to go to Target and purchase toothpaste or something. He was like, what is that just you building your to-do list? Like, is that just you striving to be busy and looking around the house and finding all the things that you need to do? Like, do you need to do it? Do you want to do it? So I think that's kind of an interesting question to ask when you find yourself saying, I need to do this. Do you need it? Or is it something that you want to do? Or is it something that you really don't have to do at all? Like you're just trying to find something to be busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that feeling of importance or self-worth, like that's a big one. I think also, and this is true for professional life and personal life, it's something that we get to hide behind. So if your friend says, hey, do you want to meet for coffee or lunch sometime? And you're like, I really don't want to try and, I'm not really interested in having coffee with them. And you don't want to say no because you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you just can't imagine getting up on a Saturday morning to go have coffee with them because that's the only time you're free. A lot of times we say, oh, no, I'm too busy. And we use our kids as excuses. Have you ever done that?
No, but I'm like, I wish I could actually go out and have a coffee with someone right now, right?
It's true.
I was thinking more like, oh, that's nice. I miss those days.
Yeah. Well, I wonder how many people. So, like, life isn't as busy right now for the outside noise as it usually is, for sure. But I almost kind of wonder if it highlights the things that really do matter to us. And I think that's kind of one of the points, too. Like when you take a look at your list and you shave off those non-essential things that you're doing just to stay moving and to make yourself feel important, to make yourself feel like you're providing value to your family or to your job. When you remove all of that from the list, it allows you to really focus on the things that you do want to do more. Like, and right now that might be, you just want to go for coffee with your friends. You want to go have a girls' night out, some wine or something. Just, you want to escape your kids.
Yeah, well, as an extrovert, I find this time very trying for me. Even though I get to work 3 days a week, it's still a lot. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you one question as you were talking. I was thinking I wonder why it is like we feel the need to be busy, but you kind of answered that we're kind of hiding behind that a little bit, like that feeling that we always need to be busy. And then I was also thinking that I know a lot of women that are grandmothers now like to feel needed and be busy too. I noticed that when I talked to them, as you said that, a lot of people popped into my mind about that need to feel like to be needed, right? And so
Yeah.
they stay busy.
Oh my gosh, especially grandmas, right? So they raise their kids and they send them out into the world. And I think for a little while, it's like, yes, the pressure is off and I get to do me for a little while. Like I get to do my own thing. But then they probably start to miss their family. And so there's so many grandmas that are like, let me bring lunch or dinner over for you and the kids, or let me take them for a Saturday because they want to be needed. They want to feel like they're important in your life, right? Like they bring some sort of value still and that people want them around. And I think that, that's really a good reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in the corporate environment, we stay busy because so sometimes that's like a cultural thing, right? Like you have to be busy, you have to be going off to meetings. And if you're the one that's going off to all the meetings, you're the important person, right? If you aren't busy, then what are you working on? They might evaluate whether or not they need you still in that position. What type of value are you bringing to the organization? I think also from a corporate perspective, hiding behind busy, a lot of times I won't have to take on more work, or work that might be hard and challenge me, or work that I might possibly fail at.
So it's a little job security too, to
Yeah.
be busy. Can't you see I'm always busy doing this?
Yeah.
That makes
But I
sense.
think, so, to kind of tie it up, like the result of that is that, especially as moms, we get overwhelmed. We get overwhelmed with the busyness that we've created. So we really want our kids to be in all of the sports. We really want to be a part of the PTO. We want to be the one that's baking the cookies and bringing them to the events at school, and part of all the small groups and all the things, right? We have this like fear of missing out, but then we get exhausted and we get overwhelmed. And Brene Brown says that we are hustling for worthiness. And I really love that. Like, that really resonated with me as a woman, that sometimes I do kind of feel like I'm just racing around and hustling to show that I do bring value and that I'm worthy of people's attention.
I wonder why it is that we feel that way,
Yeah.
Why is it, and I don't know, speaking as a woman, and most of my patients are women, but why do women feel the need to feel that way and to feel busy and to feel more worthy than it seems like the counterpart, Why is it's a more of a female thing?
Well, and that's interesting, because that's something that I find comes up in coaching sessions a lot. Okay, so like what makes you feel like you need to bring value? Where else in your life do you bring value? So for me, I was laid off from my corporate job. I worked a corporate job for 10 years, and I was laid off after 10 years. And I was like, whoa, like all my value was wrapped up in that corporate job. And it really set me back, and it had me reevaluating, okay, well, that's not the only value that I bring to the world. I'm a mom. There are other areas of my life. I'm involved in church. I volunteer. There's so many other areas of my life that I also bring value. And so those are things that come up quite often in coaching sessions of, okay, so let's talk about this need to feel busy, and what's it doing to you? Is it wearing you out? Is it leaving any time for the things that you really want to do? You want to be playing with your kids. Do you really have to do the dishes, as the minute dinner's over, or could you wait till they go to bed? For me, like laundry, I hate to see it pile up, so I try and do it. And throughout this season, I've tried to say, okay, I'm only doing it once a week. It's hard. It's still piling up. It's a big job when it comes out of the dryer, but okay, I'm just going to do it once a week so that I'm not constantly doing something that I can fit, right?
Yeah, but then it's looking at you. It's like the pile is like mounding up and it's looking at you. But no, I get
Yeah.
it. I get it.
It is looking at me, but right now, no one else can see it.
Oh, good idea. So hide it. I got it.
Yeah.
What I've learned, hide the laundry. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I wonder too, I was listening to you. I was wondering in my mind, I wonder if a lot of that is like learned behavior from the women in our lives over time, the need to be busy and to do all that. And, just wondered how much of that is just socially ingrained in us, and maybe even in our DNA. I wonder.
Yeah. Well, my mom was a single mom, and she worked 3 part-time jobs. I'm pretty sure I picked up a little bit of that busy bug from her.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
the succeeding at work and always being busy at work, and
Mhm.
I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Value.
a couple of things that you tell some of your clients then about how to cut this vicious busy cycle?
Yeah. So I think one that's come up a lot on recent webinars and things with really just the stress and anxiety is knowing like what recharges you. Like what recharges you? What's your escape? Is it a bath? Are you somebody who needs to get the energy out and go for a run? I like the whole, okay, everyone's stressed right now and I'm feeling like I need to do a ton of stuff. So we're just going to stop. We're going to turn on music really loud and dance in the living room with the blinds closed, of course. But you know what I mean? Like, what is it? What's your thing that you need? Do you need to read a book? Do you need to take time for yourself? I think that's important. Like prioritizing that self-care obviously is important. And we've heard that from so many different places throughout, this pandemic right now. I think the other thing is like not saying yes to everything and realizing that the impact of saying yes to everything a lot of times leaves you sort of splitting your attention and not doing a great job at anything. So if you say yes to everything, then you're not putting your best foot forward, personally or professionally. I found that early on in this self-isolation that I was trying to do everything. And I realized that I don't do a great job trying to work while watching a toddler. And I didn't do a good job as a mom, and I didn't do a good job as a coach, putting content out there, whatever it was. And so I had to bucket my attention and say, okay, the morning I'm going to be with the toddler, the afternoon I'm going to be a coach. So mom hat in the morning, coach in the afternoon. So I think that's important. Like, be realistic about your time, your talents, your interest in actually doing whatever it is that you're saying yes to. If you're not interested in it, why are you spending your time on it? I think that's really important. I would say the third thing is ask for help or delegate or remove it completely. So one trick that I used to always do when I was teaching this in the corporate environment was, what's one thing you've done today that you could have had somebody else do, that you could have delegated to someone else? So for me, it could be this morning, I made my son's lunch. He's 13. He can make his own lunch. I didn't have to do that for him. And so that's a task that I could give away. Taking something completely off your list, the laundry, I'm taking it off my daily list and only keeping it on my weekly list. So what's something that you can completely remove from your list? Maybe that is something you've committed to, like baking the cookies for the PTO in normal times, of course, or going and participating in the class party or whatever it is. If that's something that you don't enjoy, say no to it. Take it completely off your list. And I think getting creative with how do we shrink that list, and then how do we add in the things that we really want to do that really fuel our energy and make us feel good.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say no to doing things, right? Like, I'm the yes person and my husband's the no person, right? And I think, gosh, I got all these millions of things to do with the kids. You're right. No, you can't go do that. No, I'm not going to drive you there.
So that's interesting that you said that. And really quick, so I remember the first time we invited my husband's grandmother to dinner one night. We were like, hey, everyone's getting together for dinner tonight. Would you like to come over? And she was like, no, thank you. And that was it. And I was like, wait, she didn't give us a reason or anything. And it was like a life-changing moment. It was like, I can say no, and I don't have to say why, because it doesn't matter why. I can just say no. So I thought that was
no obligation. Just because it's family, you can still say no.
No, thanks. Yeah. And I don't have to give you a reason or excuse or anything. Yeah.
That's a good point. I just wanted to let you know that you mentioned dancing, and today is International Dance Day, just so you know. In case you didn't know that. You were mentioning that, and I was like, oh, I've been wanting to tell that to someone today. I just saw that.
We'll have to have a dance party later to celebrate. We should get up and dance, but
I'm really confined in my little box right now. I can't dance out of this box.
Yeah.
Well, Crystalynn, is there anything else that you want to tell us?
No, I mean, I think we covered everything. I'd love, obviously, if anyone has any questions or they're interested in learning more about coaching or really anything we talked about, feel free to reach out to me. My website is heartoverheadcoaching.com. I'm out there on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you want to add those links under this video on the Facebook page? That way people can come back to it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Definitely. Awesome. I don't see any questions right now. We did have hi, ladies, from Casey.
Hi, Casey.
Well, thanks so much for going live with me today and telling us about the B word. And I hope that everyone is going to think about some things, what we can cut off our list. And I really like the question that you said, like, what recharges you? I think that's something to think about. That was my big takeaway,
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I need to work on. What recharges me?
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. This was really nice. This was fun.
Thanks, Crystalynn.
All right. See ya.